I've been exposed to various stories over the years, whether they be through history or life or in cinematic offerings from the entertainment industry, like this project, for example, a streaming release or streaming film, or on a wider landscape, film, television regards. I've come across many stories that centered around drug lords, or more specifically, based on familiarity, drug kingpins. So a queen pin is a bit of a shift of attention. I don't mind it. I like opportunities to learn, and just based on what I can prove here, it seems there's equality even in the drug industry, and those who run the drug operations. But like I said, great opportunity to learn. If this is a documentary project, it is based on a real-life story, and I do find it has a wide accessibility, though we can't necessarily gauge the quality yet, because Tubi offers a bit of a mixture in that respect. They do have the advantage in the streaming landscape of not having to pay an access fee to watch one of their works, other than with the ads regard. Compared to other streaming services, this costs far less. In fact, it costs nothing at all other than internet costs for you, and time, perhaps. But I find Queen of Cocaine to be at a point of advantage. So if you're somebody that likes to watch documentaries or learn about unfamiliar stories, maybe, I'm not always the biggest, fan, or I shouldn't phrase it that way. I don't jump within the documentary landscape to stories centered around drug fare. So it's seldom I consult these types of stories, but again, I try to keep a very open door, and I like opportunities to learn broadly, so I will entertain this project at least and give it a look. And plus, again, it's free. So if you want some background on Queen of Cocaine, if a story is unfamiliar to you, this is what, because there's no official synopsis provided by IMDb yet, it's still very early days, I think the trailer debuted this morning. This is according to the Tubi YouTube channel for a background on the project. Griselda Blanco was one bad criminal, a savvy businesswoman, an international drug lord, and a sociopathic killer who rose to the top as one of the most feared queenpins in history. For over 40 years, Blanco ruled South Florida cocaine trafficking, raking it nearly $1 billion a year, all while ordering the murders of 200 rivals who threatened her monopoly. Now, on the 10th anniversary of her assassination, a chorus of experts who knew Blanco and her story, including her son Michael Corleone Blanco, explore the legendary rise, reign, and fall of Griselda Blanco, the undisputed queen of cocaine. Definitely a title indeed. I mean, this is definitely going to be dipping into the seedier aspects of life with assassination, murder, and drugs. But again, it's a story I would imagine a lot of depth, and I'm going in completely, on a blank slate. I have no clue what to expect in terms of a story, because Griselda Blanco is not a name that's been familiar to me other than today. I haven't looked into her story yet, or the stories around her, and people that were perhaps also in the drug game as well, that she decided that, she would one up through death. Let's go ahead and take a look at the project and see how the quality will fare. I would imagine, I can't say I've watched too many Tubi documentaries, at least on record. I've seen Tubi projects broadly speaking, and I've covered a bunch. Again, mixture. Let's see how competent it is, but maybe this will be a first gauge even in that respect as well. But I'm curious to entertain it. Alright. First trailer.
Miami Beach, all year sun and fun capital to all.
Good music choice.
The shootout occurred at about
Sets the geography scene quite well.
When two or more Latin males entered the Crown Liquor Store.
She is the queen pin of the cocaine era. She became the godmother, la madrina.
Okay. So far, good presentation.
It was
nice archive footage appeal.
Like the den of thieves. She made the decision to do whatever she had to do in life.
When Griselda Blanco moves down to Miami, she just blows up.
They didn't really understand how to create routes or use the transportation.
She's up at night trying to get the drugs in undetected.
Got the beautiful models, got the lingerie, they start stuffing it.
The federal government can't find Griselda Blanco. She is a phantom.
I've seen that depicted in cinema as well in terms of high-end or clothes, and I'm sure many still try and do that.
She's basically thumbing her nose at the U.S.
She's the boss. There's now a woman running one of the most macho industries in the world.
She was making $10 to $80 million a month.
There was no stopping her. She just wanted more and more, and that's what she did.
She's ordering assassination.
Violence, arrogance, greed. That is her legacy.
All of humanity's vices eventually lead to a downfall. It's funny to me when I look at Hollywood fare, and I, again, consider projects that I've seen based on familiarity that tend to be more so skewed on males who run drug operations. So there hasn't been as much presence of ladies, I guess, in this respect, even though, true to life, it seems, with Griselda Blanco. And sometimes you never know with people. You walk next to somebody in life, perhaps, and you don't know their story. Or perhaps, commonly don't, perhaps, when we go in the general vicinity of society. But sometimes you come across people that you would never suspect are quite depraved individuals. But yet, Griselda, or at least they have a real dark side, I guess is a better way to put it. And I look at pictures of Griselda, and I consider the image of a very outwardly gorgeous woman. Someone who displays a classy, refined veneer, when, in truth, there's a lot under the surface. But it'll be a fascinating story to learn, I'm sure, in terms of her exploits. Not that, we want to follow in the path of Griselda, certainly not. But maybe better to understand how the drug operations work, especially on a national scale, which it seems this project is touching on in terms of her gaining so much influence and notoriety. We can see how her empire, if we want to call it that, I guess, expanded. And that'll be, I'm sure, a fascinating story. Like I said, quite a depth to this, even more than I suspected. I mean, common traits, again, if you've seen cinema or other types of entertainment ventures centered around drug stories, you'll find oftentimes the intersections of murder, crime, things like that, along with drug trafficking. But it makes for a competent documentary, I would say, in terms of its sophistication and its wide knowledge of where it can go. It doesn't feel stifled or limited in terms of being too narrow of a focus of a story, because there is so much detail and story depth there with Griselda's operations. It'll be, I'm sure, pretty entertaining. There's the traits, I'd say, good of a documentary: substantial archive footage, plenty of interviews, substantial documentation as well, and good illustrations too, like with the map visual. That's a great cue for some of us as well who are not necessarily the most familiarized. In the process, it's much easier to see the transference and extensions of her empire expand. I'd say it's a good presentation. And again, like I said, with Tubi, it's a bit of a mixture. It's obviously appealing on the free regard, but quality-wise, I'm impressed. It looks like every good documentary that I've seen. Perhaps some are maybe a little more adventurous than others. This is more traditional in depiction. I'm not saying that as a diss. Looks good enough in terms of a substantial release and an opportunity to learn Griselda's story posthumously. What are your thoughts down below on the piece? I'm assuming some of you, because this is, I'm sure, going to have, like I said, wide accessibility, but I don't know how many people are engaging with this work, maybe in comparison to other entertainment projects. I'd be curious to hear if this is something that you find appealing in any way and that you're humoring the prospect of watching the story for yourself. I'd love to hear down below. Or maybe you're somebody that, perhaps like me, doesn't always entertain, even though maybe you're open to documentary pictures, even though I'm sure that as well has a bit of a limited appeal in regards to cinema viewings for the general populace. People more so may prefer, fictionalized entertainment works and bigger commercial releases versus smaller documentary projects. But some of us do. There's definitely an audience for stories like that, and I'm one of them. I'm sure maybe some of you are as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts if you wish to disclose your perspective down below. I'll be checking it out, to engage with it. Again, I haven't seen, I don't think, any Tubi documentaries yet, so it'll be a first gauge on that, but learning Griselda's story will be quite interesting. And I'll be curious to see if maybe going forward, if other stories within the Hollywood viewing or entertainment landscape start to mimic the focus of this project, in that we have a story spotlighting Griselda, right, a female or a woman or queen pin in the drug game. So I guess it'll be quite a phenomenon to see if the landscape changes of familiarity, right? We've had plenty of drug kingpins in cinema. Maybe it's time for some queen pins as well, because it seems that that's also true to life. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.